How's it going, Eliminators? Today we're going to be doing a bushing, bearing, and friction disc replacement on an MTD snowblower. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So I'm working on this yard work snowblower and my customer said it just doesn't drive like it used to. And on this particular yard work snowblower, the friction wheel right there engages the friction plate. That starts to spin that lower shaft there, which is on bearings. And then once that starts spinning, chain comes up to this shaft here, which then starts to spin this shaft. And this is the shaft that has these clutches, I guess you can call it. And the way that they work is you have the cable going up to the little trigger up on the handles. And that is how you engage or disengage your drive on one side. So when you pull that cable, it disengages that, allowing this wheel on the right side to spin freely. Now only your left wheel is powered, so you'll start to turn to the right. And basically from there, chains go up to spin your drive axle. Now, once this gets worn out, then this has all kinds of play down there. And then as you can see, while things don't work like they should, your sprockets will get offset. You'll get some binding in the chains, which is not good. Now here's where things get a little interesting when it comes to this bushing here. So I ran the model number of this snowblower, and in the parts diagram, they actually list a 741-0111 bushing. Now that's actually a spelling error, and it is supposed to say 741-1111, which is a hex flange bearing. They call it a bearing, but it's actually a bushing, with a 0.564 of an inch ID, or inner diameter, and the -111 is iron. So that is going to be an iron hex flange bushing. Now what's interesting is that the one that I removed here is obviously not iron. This is a soft metal. It's kind of like a bronze, and from what I've researched, they use powdered metal and then they press these in to the shape that they are now. But the soft metal version is going to be a 741-0597. Again, still hex flange bushing, 0.564 of an ID. And I had to Google these part numbers to see what the difference was between the two, because even though this one said iron, this one didn't say anything. Now this is going to lead you to a choice, essentially. You can choose to run the soft metal hex flange bushing. It will wear out faster than the iron one. However, because it is softer metal than that of the axle, it will not damage the axle. So you guys can see this thing is totally ovaled out, and there was absolutely no damage to that shaft there, or the axle. The manual, however, calls for this iron bushing. This would have come from the factory with an iron one. I've already called my rep and talked to him, and they have not superseded. So you can make a choice. These iron ones will last longer, and as far as I know, they will not interfere with the shaft, so they won't wear out the shaft. So because the manual calls for these, that's what I'm going to be running. I ordered 4 of them because I'm only going to be using 2. So I'll now have 2 of each that I can pick and choose from in my inventory, and I'll always have them in stock for the next job that comes in. Now, interestingly enough, the drive axle does have a brass hex flange bushing in there. That's going to be an 0598 bushing. So you could see how they go 0598, 0597, makes sense. However, what I want to mention here is going to be a gear ratio. So up here, you now have a large sprocket and it's being spun by a smaller sprocket. So that means that this sprocket is actually spinning faster than this one. So you could imagine if you had the soft metal, like the 0598, down here, because this shaft is spinning faster than that one, that would wear out a soft metal bushing faster than the one up there. And I'll try my best to get you a visual of that just by using my hand to spin the tire here. So what we're going to be doing is looking at how fast the friction wheel axle is spinning. And once again, that's why they're using those bearings down there, because that's going to be spinning the fastest. That's the one that comes in contact with your engine's drive friction plate here. That's the belt driven one from the crankshaft. And then again, this one connects to this one. You guys can see how fast that is spinning. And what we're doing is we're trying to compare the bottom shaft there to the top one. Again, this is the one that your tires hook up to, and that spins the slowest. So as far as I can tell, that's why they want you to use this iron bushing down here, because it can just stand up to the higher speed of this shaft, more so than a soft metal bushing would. This drive axle here for the wheels is going to be what's known as a split axle. So they're actually two separate axles, and they pin them right through here on the sprockets. Now, there's going to be two thrust washers on either side of the sprocket. They may or may not be used depending on how MTD wanted to shim things up, but on this particular one, there was a thrust washer on the right side of the sprocket, as well as a thrust washer on the left side of the sprocket. So as you pull this shaft out, they're gonna fall. So the first thing you gotta do is pull the pin, obviously, on the end of your axle so you can get your wheel off. We're gonna be greasing that. That one was a little difficult to get off. Then the next thing we're gonna do is pull this little clip here, because again, this is a split axle. So once we pull this clip, we can push the pin through and slide this axle out. Now keep in mind there may be some thrust washers in there, so just kind of keep your hand underneath the sprocket as you pull that axle shaft out. And then you should be able to drop your one thrust washer from the inner side there and pull the axle straight out. Drop the sprocket, and then we can now reach in here and pop out the inner thrust washer there with the bushing. Now I'll be using some marine grade grease in this bushing here just to coat that up. Then we can take our bushing, line it up to the hex in the chassis. And this is the difficult part, is we want to try to get the thrust washer stuck to the grease on the bushing so that we can lift up our sprocket and hopefully not have the thrust washer fall. So we got the shaft here with the hole that is for the pin. So we're going to just slowly push this through, and that'll help hold our thrust washer on, and then should be able to lift our sprocket up. Now here's where this is going to have to be pushed down so that you can slide your sprocket up. Just double check to make sure your thrust washer didn't fall from in there. Grab your other thrust washer, pull the axle back a little bit. You should be able to fit that in. And once you get it lined up, it can take a little bit. Then you're just going to push that through until your hole is lined up for your pin. Put the pin in from the bottom, move the shaft around until that's lined up, pop your clip through, and then that axle bushing has been replaced, and there's limited play now. So now for this side, to do the lower bushing, we have to remove the panel here. There's going to be 4 10mm screws. Once you remove those, you can pull this cover off, and then your bushing's right here. You can swap that out. Once again, a little bit of marine grade grease on there. Now this is where I would recommend taking some lubricant. I have some honey goo here, and I'm going to spray the inside of this as well as the cable just to lubricate that properly. Now if you'd also like to replace the bearings on the friction wheel shaft, or if you want to replace the rubber friction disc on this axle, you need to get the axle and these bearings out. And a lot of times these bearings will seize into the chassis of the snowblower, or the inner race of the bearing can actually seize to the axle. At this point, I would recommend getting a large drift pin, and from the right side of the snowblower, line that up with the axle, and then take any kind of hammer and give that a firm smack. Now at this point, everything is just going to completely shoot out from the inside, so it will knock the bearing out from the left side, and a lot of times the axle will shoot through the friction wheel. But I just want to show you guys, you're going to have a little bushing here. You're going to have the sprocket, which actually engages onto the hex there. That goes through the chain, so you can just simply slide the friction wheel off the right once you get these parts here taken off, and we could just slide the friction wheel off, and then there's going to be 3/8 or 10mm screws. Remove them and you can replace the rubber friction disc. And I'll try to get you guys a shot here. You see how much rubber is on that one side? But if we go around, how little rubber is on that side. So going back to the worn bushing here, what ended up happening was, because the bushing was worn, the axle had so much play, so when he went to engage his drive, he could have actually ended up smoking a little bit of the rubber friction disc, and we're nearly down to metal there. And that's not good, because you'll start wearing out your aluminum friction plate when you get that close to the metal. So go ahead and replace that rubber disc and you won't have that problem. And you guys might not think that you need to replace your bearings when you're doing this, but if I'm going to be replacing the lower bushings as well as the drive bushings, might as well replace the bearings. And the part number is going to be a 6203RS. And if you want to get the other bearing out here, just take a rubber mallet that's a little bit smaller than the bearing itself, and you could just tap that right through. At which point I would recommend a little bit of emery paper. Go in there and clean up the hole that the bearing seats to. A lot of times the bearing will either seize to the chassis or seize to the axle shaft, making what you just saw, where I just tapped it once and that axle flew right out. That becomes extremely difficult once everything starts to seize up. So what we're going to be doing is putting a little bit of grease on the axle and on the bearing to prevent that from happening in the future. And there's going to be 3 on the inside as well. You'll have to get these ones with a wrench because a socket will not fit. Now once you get those 6 screws undone, you can simply just take this apart and the rubber comes off. Throw that in the garbage, get yourself a new one. And I'm going to be using a STENS 240-991, which replaces the MTD 935-0243B. And we still have to install the other side by hand, but you just want to make sure that everything's lined up, that it's not wobbling. Let's see if we can get you a shot of this. Check that out, guys. Lots of rubber, and then they even have a little seam in the middle until that wears away. It's kind of like a new tire. This is the tedious task of tightening these down. It would be nice if they would have made a cutout somewhere and then you could just spin this around and use a socket with the impact, but of course they don't make it easy. Okay, so at this point we are ready for reassembly. Don't worry if you get oil or grease on your rubber friction disc or the drive plate here. We're going to be degreasing this after. At this point, you're going to take your friction wheel, go in on an angle here, and then angle it up. We want this side to the right, and you're going to line up the shift arm into that hole there, and then take your axle shaft and push it in from the left with the clip on the left side there, because the sprocket and the bushing, which is right over here, goes onto the right side of that shaft. Before we hook up the sprocket or the bushing though, we want to move the speed selector over to number 6, which pushes that all the way over to the left, and then we have enough room to get in there. Now once you slide the sprocket and your bushing onto the shaft, the chain is going to be slacked because again, we don't have our bearing installed, so that's not pulled center, pulling the chain tight. You'll be able to put the sprocket underneath the chain, loop the chain in, spin the axle if you have to, and then at this point we can center up our axle and anti-seize or use that marine grade grease on the inner race of the bearings to reinstall them. So we're using lots of grease. Don't worry if you have some excess coming out, we can just wipe that off later. Once again, I'm using my M12 Milwaukee underbody work light. I did a video on this thing, you guys can check that out. I'll put the link in the top right of your screen. Once again, don't recommend things that I don't personally use, and I use this thing every single day. And if you're wondering what holds the bearing in, it's just this plate here that they use. Okay, if you guys want to see reassembly here, there's going to be a shaft here that's going to line up with a hole, and you are going to have to line up the hex on the flange, so you could put that in here first if you wanted to. It really doesn't matter, but the one trick to this is you may have to go up to the handlebar and pull the finger trigger here, and then you can see it just goes straight in, just like that. The grease I'm using here is just a Moto Master grade 2, so it's an NLGI number 2. And again, this is marine grade, so it's going to be water resistant or water repellent at least, which should help, especially on a snowblower. So we'll grease up this axle here and we'll get the wheel back installed. One thing I like to do though is the hole for the pin, try to line that up so it's facing up and down. Same thing with your tire, and then you can just slide it on and everything for the most part will be lined up. We can now reinstall the pin. This one has a washer, the ones on the inside did not. And the clip, there's a little bit of play. Normally if these break, what you want to do is swap these out for a 1/4 inch grade 8 bolt. Basically these get a lot of play in them, and if you're in a higher gear like 6th speed, what'll end up happening is you engage your drive and your drive axle starts to spin before the wheel moves, and what you have is essentially the axle slamming the pin into the wheel, and then that's what shears these. And if you replace them with a grade 8 1/4 inch bolt, then you won't have to worry about that. So we have new axle bushings installed, both upper and lower, as well as new hex shifter shaft bearings and rubber friction disc. Again, we want to remove all of this grease from both the rubber friction disc and our friction plate. To do that, I'll be using some Refinishers Select silicone wax and grease remover. This stuff works great. Put it onto a clean shop towel there, and we'll just wipe everything down. And once you get the friction plate all cleaned up, spin the axle around just by moving the tire, and make sure you get that rubber friction disc cleaned up nice. The chains have been lubricated, everything is greased and anti-seized, so I'm ready to reassemble my access panel here. You may have to do a slight adjustment on the drive cable here because you want to make sure that the wheels spin without touching the plate. If this friction disc is touching the plate with your drive lever up on the handlebars disengaged, that means as soon as you fire up your engine, this thing's going to take off in whatever gear you have it in. So again, you want to make sure that this spins freely, and then about at the halfway point when your lever is engaged, this comes to a stop, and that'll mean that everything is adjusted properly. So in the case of this snowblower here, the wheels spin. However, as soon as I just touch the lever up top, it puts the slightest amount of tension on the cable, the wheel does not turn. So all you have to do is on this particular model, there's going to be a lock nut on a threaded rod here, and all we're going to do is lengthen this cable, which decreases some of the tension. So it will increase the amount of travel that we have on here, because you don't want your friction disc to engage when you just barely move that lever. But additionally, you also don't want your friction wheel to engage once the lever is like way over here, because then you're only getting the tension of the spring from like this point to there. So again, ideally you want it at about the halfway mark. So once it's engaged there, and I can feel this thing is still too tight, so we don't want to snap a cable. We're going to take some tension off of that, lengthen that up best we can there, and see if I can get this on a shot now. So spinning, and then we engage the cable and not spinning. Perfect. Feels pretty good to me. So once you set the cable to your desired tension, just go ahead and tighten up the lock nut there, and I'll tighten that up with a wrench. Well, that's going to wrap up today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, think about leaving me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me out. You can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch one of my previous videos. I upload every single week, so be sure to stop on by next week. Check channel out for new content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.